We know everything right. We know everything
Oh shit.
right. Alrighty. Good morning to everyone. Today we are. We know everything. Oh shit, shut up. So, today we are engaging in our first session of body doubling with myself and the stream. So, let me just confirm that all chats are rolling. All chats are indeed rolling. And we are going to start learning Unreal Engine GUS, which is gameplay ability system, which will help us understand how to create NPCs, combat, movement, and all of that sorts. All right. Let's get started.
Welcome. All right, so I have my startup project here. It's called Aura, and so far it's just a blueprint project. It doesn't have any C++ classes or files. It doesn't have a Visual Studio solution or anything like that. What it does have is assets, and we'll be using these assets throughout the course. Now we can take a look at those by opening Aura, and this is what the project looks.
All right, let me just quickly check if there is any cool stuff on the marketplace that we can snap up. Oh, wow. Damn, all of these are pretty cool. Let me just grab some assets. I also just realized that I failed to get the 3D scan Quixel stuff. These are really cool. All of these are pretty badass, honestly. Okay, let me sure we don't. All right, purchase complete. Let's open up our project files. So I am imagining Git HTML files. Oh wow. This is gonna be quite a bit. Anyway, we got this. We got this. We just gotta do the thing. 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 So we have a project file, Aura 5.3. So I guess we open Aura. I hope it works with it. Only one way to find out. I think this tutorial was made on 5.3 and we are on 5.4, so we might have to install Unreal 5.3 for this to work properly, or it might work with it regardless. So let's see how that goes.
Looks like I have an input device detected warning. I'm going to go ahead and check that checkbox so we don't see that again. And we have just a basic level called startup map. And in the content drawer, I see that I have an assets and a maps folder.
Okay.
There's that startup map.
So map, startup map, assets, got a bunch of assets. Cool, cool.
It's set as the default map. If we go to edit.
Wait, was there anything in the introduction about setting up a GitHub repository, or is it
Welcome
just...
Bell's Lab. We use.
No, I don't think so.
Right, so I have my print. We'll be using these assets throughout the course. Now we can take a look at those by opening Aura. And this is what the project looks like. I have an input device detected warning. I'm going to go ahead and check that checkbox so we don't see that again. And we have just a basic level called Startup Map. And in the content drawer, I see that I have an Assets and a Maps folder. There's that Startup Map. It's set as the default map. If we go to Edit and Project Settings and Maps and Modes, we see that it's the Editor Startup Map as well as the game default maps.
So that was in the world settings, right?
Map, if we go to Edit.
No, I was in project settings.
And project settings and maps and modes, we see that it's the editor startup map
Mm-hmm.
as well as the game default map. So that's the only map in our project so far. And we have the assets folder, which contains all of the assets that we'll be using throughout the course. So I encourage you to take a look at those if you'd like to see which assets we'll be using as we develop the project. The character for the course is going to be Aura. Here's her skeletal mesh.
Let's just get familiar. Character, Aura, skeletal mesh, physics asset, skeleton. Skeletal mesh. So skeleton is what is going to control the animations, from what I understand. Okay. Nice, nice.
As you can see, it's rigged to the Epic Mannequin hierarchy, and Aura is quite detailed. And we also have some animations for Aura, which we'll be using in her animation blueprint when we set that up. So we'll get to all that soon enough, but if you like, take some time to go through the assets and see what we've got. Now, this video is really just our project setup. We're going to set some preferences, fill out our copyright notice, and things like that. Now, you can use whichever IDE you choose throughout this course that's compatible with Unreal Engine. I'm going to be using JetBrains Writer. So,
Okay, so we'll probably have to set that up real quick. Discard. Why is my... That is okay. I'm just, I would like to set up my Facebook stream so it's edit audience, edit live video. Let's go. Question. Game. We're playing Game Dev Story on Facebook. That's fine. Let's pop out this chat as well. All right. Anyway, where were we?
what I'd like to do is go to Edit and Editor Preferences. And
we are setting up our preferred editor of choice. Edit, editor preferences.
search for source code and find source code editor. I like to keep
Visual Studio. Do I want it Visual Studio Code
keep
then?
my source code editor setting to Writer U project. So I'm making sure that that's what it's set to. And I can open my .u project with Writer in order to edit the
This is just the preferred method of code editing, right? He said he's using what exactly?
source that's compatible with Unreal Engine. I'm going to fill out our copyright notice and things like that. Now, you can use whichever IDE you choose throughout this course that's compatible with Unreal Engine. I'm going to be using JetBrains Writer. So what I'd like to do is go to Edit and Editor Preferences and search for source code and find source
I imagine for me that's just going to be Visual Code then.
code editor. I like to keep my source code editor setting to Writer U project. So I'm making sure that that's what it's set to. And I can open my .u project with Writer in order to edit the source code. So that's one setting that I'd like to set. Now, I'm also going to be developing this project with live coding disabled. So I'm going to go back to Editor Preferences and search for live coding and uncheck Enable Live Coding. I've found that things work smoothest when I work without live coding, so I'm going to compile from the IDE directly every time. Another setting that I'd like to change is automatically compile newly added C++ classes. This is under hot reload. I'm going to uncheck that. I don't want Unreal Engine automatically compiling anything. I want full control over that. So that's the setting that I prefer. Feel free to follow along exactly if you like. Now, because I'll be using Writer, I need to go into Edit and Plugins and search for Writer. And we can see that Writer integration is checked. And
Where was that? Do I need to check about Visual Code?
I need to go into Edit and Plugins.
I think this is it. I mean, I think I should be fine.
And search for Writer. And we can see that Writer integration is checked. And finally, I'll go back to project settings, and I'm going to fill out my copyright notice, as this results in a very annoying comment at the top of each of our header and CPP files. So I'm just going to say copyright Druid Mechanics, as that's my company, and you can fill this out with anything you like. At the top of each of our, I'll go back to project settings, and I'm going to fill out my copyright notice, as this results in a very annoying comment at the top of each of our header and CPP files. So I'm just going to say copyright Druid Mechanics, as that's my company, and you can fill this out with anything you like here.
Okay, cool. Bob the Builder copyright confirm.
Be different than that default message that it was at before. Now, one last thing that I'd like to set is I'm going to go into Edit Editor Preferences again, right here under General Appearance, and I'm going to make sure Asset Editor Open Location is set to Main Window. When it's set to default, then every time you open an asset, such as a blueprint, it opens in a new window, but when it's set to main window, it'll open docked at the top here, which is what I prefer. So now that I've got this project set up to my own preferences, we can now add our first C++ class, and we'll go ahead and do that in the videos to come. So in the meantime, if you'd like, browse through the assets that we have in here. We have sounds, textures, UI, particle systems, meshes, animations, and environment assets that we'll be using throughout the course. So really exciting stuff. Check those out, and I'll see you in the next video.
Let's go! First video down! Whoop whoop! Oh, it might rain soon. It's gonna be such a
Welcome back.
breeze.
So now that we have our project set up, we're ready to start actually developing the game. But before we do, something I always do with my game projects is I set up version control, and I'd like to do so using Git for this project. And I figured you'd might like to see the way that I personally set up version control for my projects. Now, I'd like this to be version controlled on an online repo on my GitHub page. So I'm going to create a new repository here on GitHub, and I'm going to call this Gameplay Ability System _
Alright, let's go do that as well. So we need to GitHub create new repository. Gas Unreal. Do we need to do anything else?
Aura. Now I can have a description if I like. I can say online repo repository here on GitHub, and I'm going to call this Gameplay Ability System _ Aura. Now I can have a description if I like. I can say online repo for Gameplay Ability System course, and this will be a public repository. Now I don't need to add a README or a gitignore. I like to do those locally before pushing up to my remote repository. So I'm simply going to click Create Repository, and GitHub so conveniently reminds me of the syntax for pushing a local repo up to my remote here.
Whoop whoop!
So that means I need a local repo here. And I like to work from the Git bash because it's simple and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and open the Git bash and maneuver into the folder I have here. I can do that with cd/c
CD's nuts
/gas/aura. And I can initialize a new repository here. Now I'd like to add a gitignore so that I'm
is this gonna be it then? Блять. Do I need to move my project? Is it gonna break things? Too many arguments. Fuck you. Does that mean I have to move
ignoring certain files, and I have a handy gitignore that I typically copy and paste in, which I use for all my files. For example, here's my / project from the Unreal Engine 5 Ultimate Game Developer course. Here's my gitignore for it. As you can see, it's got some things that we can ignore. I'm going to go ahead and choose not to ignore these folders. Most of them don't exist in my project. Now the assets folder I could ignore if I'd like to just version control the source code, but in this case, I'm going to go ahead and not gitignore any of these, and I'm not going to gitignore my content folder. I'd like to version control that, but everything else here can be git ignored. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all this. Now I don't want to change my gitignore for the / project. I want to make a new text document called simply .gitignore. Yes, I'm sure I want to change the file type, and I'm going to open it up here, and paste in those contents and save it.
Alright, I think this means that I have to potentially just move it away from here. Where are my Unreal projects actually? Documents, Unreal projects, Learning Kit. Documents, Unreal projects, boom. Fuck. So what if we close this? So what are we just changed? Let's just make sure that all of that is still done. Editor preferences, code. Yeah, it's good. Good. Okay. So wait, I remember what I did was use this thing. Current repository. So my repository is currently created online, right? And these are my thingies. Why can't I do that? Default branch name for new repositories. Is that what I need to change? Quick setup. Once you've done this kind of thing before, if you've done this kind of set up on desktop. Is that what I want to do? Wouldn't it be easier to just say create new repository? Gas UE Aura. Choose a project. Aura UE3 Aura. Select folder. Git ignore. Unreal Engine license. None. Create repo. And why is it Visual Studio 2015? Interesting. No idea. Good day, sir. I have created a new story using Git. What is it? GitHub Desktop. Below is the code found in the gitignore that was formed after I selected it to be a Unreal Engine project. Why? My question is, why is the first line reading I have selected Visual Studio Code? Is that what I've selected? So my question is, why is the first line reading Visual Studio 2015 user-specific settings? I've selected Visual Studio Code as my default source code editor. Is that going to interfere with this gitignore in some way? Let's see what it says. G'day. Nice, I love that. The line gitignore referring to Visual Studio 15 is standard in Unreal Engine gitignore templates. It's included to ignore temporary unconfiguration files specific to Visual Studio users, which can clutter repository but are necessary for version control. Since you've selected Visual Studio Code as default editor, this won't interfere with your project. Here's why. Awesome. So so then our gitignore is ready. I fucked up, didn't I? No, right? I selected the right folder, have I? Have I not? Shouldn't I see content, config, all this shit? Okay, let's just ask our silicone friend about it. Do 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 do. Hey again. Quick question. I've created the repo using git pc. But in the last screenshot, as you can see, the only files that are appear on the repository are the git ignore and git attributes. No other files show up. Why is that? Have I selected the wrong folder to make the repository for? Should the git attributes, but I've selected, I don't even know. Why is that? Last screenshots includes the path to my UE project. Let's see what our silicon friend has to say about it. It looked like a mesh immutable typically contains large files. Do I just... Is that it? It's a lot of changes. First commit, summary required. Setting up basic repository. On branch main attract file, use git add file include and what will be committed. Yay. Let's just try this again. Create new repository, choose. Select folder. Aura. Doing something wrong, I feel like. And this all because I just decided to make things a bit more difficult for myself. That's fine. I'm trying to understand the bigger picture. Everything is fine. Where is the version control? Um,
and you should see the changes to the Git attributes, which I'll also add in the video description. Git LFS support together with Git and Git Bash, so with other members or upload them. If you click on history, you can see all the project files that have. It will then tell you that there's no Git repository in this folder, so repository. Now you need to navigate to where your Unreal Engine project is located.
I need to add local. No. Right?
If you don't know the location, you can go to the Epic Games Launcher library, right-click on your project, and show in folder. You can then copy the path here and paste it to locate this for GitHub Desktop. It will then tell you that there's no Git repository in this folder, so click on Create a Repository.
Oh, never mind.
Here you can set the name and description.
Aha, so the name has to match. You literally have to select. Okay, that makes sense. Right?
Another thing that's very important is git ignore, which I'll explain in detail in the next step. Now just make sure to select Unreal Engine here and click on Create Repository. This might take a few minutes, but after it's done, you should see your repository in GitHub Desktop.
Okay. Is my camera off? Fuck, my camera is off. Yeah, fucking fuck. Yeah, fucking fuck, fuck. Anyway. We're saved. Sorry. Are we good? Are we good? Oh, stinky breath. So many clinks and clanks. Okay, good. We're back. Nope, never mind. Are we? Yes, we are. Woo! Couldn't even tell. We're just sitting so still. Anyway. Aura. History. Nice. Awesome.
If you click on history, you can see all the project files that have been committed to Git with the initial commit. These are mostly things from the content folder of a project, such as the map, mannequin, and some blueprints. The git ignore file will specify which file extensions and folders we don't want to commit to the version control system. And since we selected Unreal Engine, this is already filled out for us. Unreal Engine will create a lot of temporary files which it needs to work, however there's no need for us to share these with other members or upload them to the cloud, since they would only use up space and slow things down. I'm mostly talking about the build, intermediate, and saved folder here. For my DK Bongo platform project, it's only about 2 gigabytes, but I've had other projects where this added up to 20 plus gigabytes, so it's really important to set up your Git ignore file correctly. Another thing we need to talk about is Git LFS. Git is mostly targeted at versioning code, but it's not great with binary files such as textures, 3D models, and many other asset types you'll need in your games. You can technically still commit these to Git, however uploads and downloads will be very slow. So with Git large file storage, we can split what files are being saved where to get the best performance. We actually already installed Git LFS support together with Git and Git Bash, so there's no need for us to download and install this.
I'm not sure if I... All right. Git LFS, GitHub Windows. You'll see a version number, something like this. Alright, awesome. It is installed. This confirms. Awesome. Okay.
However, we do need to update our project and the Git attributes file. The way I usually go about this is to go into the content folder of my project and create one folder called static for things such as sound files, textures, models, and so on, and another folder called dynamic for blueprints, maps, and other things that will frequently be updated. We then need to split the files that are already in the project between these two folders. Level prototyping has a lot of static meshes and materials, so it belongs in static. Even though the files have moved, the folder might still be displayed here. You can right-click on the content folder and fix up redirectors. Then we can just delete the folder. The third-person folder has blueprints, maps, and input bindings, so we can move it into dynamic. Then again, fix up redirectors and delete the folder. The characters folder has a lot of animations and meshes, so move it into static. You can now right-click on your current repository and show in Explorer. Open up the Git attributes file in a text editor of your choice. Here you now have to add this line, which I'll also add in the video description for you to copy. Content/static/** filter equals LFS, diff equals LFS, merge equals LFS.
I'm not sure if I have to do this.
This basically says that everything under the content static folder should be handled by LFS. Now open up GitHub Desktop and you should see the changes to the Git attributes file. If you select any of the assets that are inside the static folder, you should then also see something here on the right side mentioning something about version Git LFS. That's how you know you set it up correctly. Now we can do our first manual commit and save the changes we just applied. To do that, we need to add a commit message. Now, there are many guides and conventions for how to write good commit messages, but to keep it simple, you want to concisely describe what you implemented. It should be written in present tense and using imperative mood. Then click on commit to main. When you click on history, you can see our commit history. You can think of a commit as a checkpoint or snapshot of your project at a certain time. You can always go back to a snapshot later when you notice that there are issues, so it's a good practice to commit frequently and only commit things that are related to one topic or task together. Let's now make some changes to simulate a mistake. When implementing something in Unreal Engine, you often won't know the perfect way of doing it right away, and you'll have to try a bunch of different things out to see if they work. Sometimes these changes will cover multiple blueprints or C++ files, and reverting them back manually will take a lot of time or might even be impossible. I'm just going to go into this map and delete a bunch of things to break the game. When you open up GitHub Desktop, you can see that it detected changes to the map. In Unreal Engine 4, you'd only see a single map file here. However, with UE5, they changed it to a one file per actor system. So you'll see an entry for each actor we deleted here. Discarding the changes we made is the easiest while we still haven't made any commits. Before we do that though, we need to shut down the Unreal Engine project since we can't have it access the files while making changes. It's fine to keep Unreal Engine open when we make commits or pushes, but not when we do discards, rollbacks, pulls, or branch changes. Always shut down the project when you do something of that nature or things can easily break. Once the project is shut down, we can simply right-click here and discard all changes. Now when you open up the project again, we need to open up our map from the folder since it was unset as a default map when we moved it around. Now you can see that we're back to the state before we deleted parts of the level. And this of course also works for blueprints, C++, materials, and everything else. This is something I use all the time and probably the biggest reason you should use version control even when working on a project alone. Even once you have committed something, you can right-click your commit in your history and undo commit, or revert changes in commit to roll these changes back. However, when doing this, you need to be a bit more careful since this could cause conflicts with files you've changed since then. Let's now upload our changes to GitHub. Click on the Publish Repository button and make sure that GitHub.com is selected. Also make sure that Keep Your Code Private is checked. Otherwise, anybody on GitHub can just see and download your project files. Then click on Publish Repository. In your case, this should work out just fine and your project should then be uploaded to the GitHub cloud. You can then just right-click your project name and open on GitHub to confirm this. In my case, however, I already used up my Git LFS data limit on GitHub and can therefore not upload my project. This brings us to the next topic, GitHub versus GitLab. GitHub limits your Git LFS storage to 1 GB and that is not per project but for your account overall. If you want to use more, you'll have to start paying for a data plan which starts at about $5 per month. GitLab, on the other hand, allows free repositories of up to 10 GB and doesn't limit LFS storage on your account overall. However, I just saw that they took away the ability to have teams of more than 5 members for the free tier, which might be an issue for your project. Also, the maximum repository size is 10 GB altogether. So what I usually do is start on GitLab and use it until I hit 10 GB on a project and then switch back to GitHub and start paying for the data plan. However, if you have a team of 5 or more members, you might just want to stay on GitHub and start paying once you hit more than 1 GB. One thing you could try is to not use Git LFS and just upload all your binary files as is to GitHub. Even though uploads and downloads will be a lot slower like this, it won't count towards your data limit and you can do this for free. In that case, you don't have to do the steps of splitting the assets between static and dynamic and don't have to add the extra line on the Git attributes file. I'll still show an example of how GitLab works though, and after that we'll also talk about pulling changes your teammates commit committed, and what you need to be careful of with merge conflicts, regardless of if you're using GitHub or GitLab. The sign-up process and many things about GitLab have changed since I started using.
Alright, so what does that mean for us? Do we need to get GitLab? I guess let's sign into GitLab. Not entirely sure what exactly I am doing here, but that's fine. That's a permanent state of mind for a game developer, from what I understand. Just never entirely sure what is going on around you. I embrace it and welcome it. That's private email. Select a template. Get started with one appropriate another one start template. Getting started. README on GitLab. Okay, sure. Oh shit! Maybe I should have imported it. Gee. New project / repository. Can I import it? Migrate your data from an external. Yeah, there we go. That's me. GitLab export. Now we need to find our publish this repository, and I don't really want to do that, do I? Do I? Give this code. No, actually I do. Publish repo. Might be starting, we might be dropping some frames here in a second. See how that goes. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff here. Anything unnecessary we can make Pashol. Alright, our repo is publishing. Can we... Do we see it here yet? Created 2 new repositories. So this is the new repositories we are working on right now. Right? Quick setup if you've done this kind of thing before. Get started uploading existing file. Wait. It's not what I'm trying to do. Migrate your data from an external source like GitHub, Bitbucket, or another instance of GitLab. GitLab, Bitbucket, repository by URL. Oh, that's the one. GitLab company group project Git. GitHub. I think this is it. Boom. There is not a valid Git repository at this URL. What does that mean? Guess it means it's still writing objects. Oh my god. What a pain in the ass. That's fine. It's fine. It has to be done. It has to be done. Have we deserved a break yet? I don't know. How long has the stream been going? The stream has been going for 50 minutes. It is something. No chats here? Nope. No chats here? Nope. So
teams of more than 5 members for the free tier, which might be an issue for your project. Also, the maximum repository size is 10 gigabytes altogether. So what I usually do is start on GitLab and use it until I hit 10 gigabytes on a project, and then switch back to GitHub and start paying for the data plan. However, if you have a team of 5 or more members, you might just want to stay on GitHub and start paying once you hit more than 1 gigabyte. One thing you could try is to not use GitLFS and just upload all your binary files as is to GitHub. Even though uploads and downloads will be a lot slower like this, it won't count towards your data limit, and you can do this for free. In that case,
nah, I'd rather, I mean, I
don't
guess
have to do the steps to
maybe
split the assets
I'd
between
rather
dynamic
pay
and don't
for
have that.
convenience. So right now we're waiting for the first commit. That is happening. Are we dropping frames? No. So that means we can keep going. Course.
I now have a gitignore for the project. Now I'm ready to initialize my repo. Now GitHub is giving me some commands here. It's reminding me that git init is how I'm going to initialize a new repo. So I'd like to do that here. Git init. I
Init,
can also
mate.
run git status to see that I have these files which have not been staged or committed. Now, if you don't know what staged,
Let's see these nuts. Paste. Too many arguments. CDC gas aura. CD. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing to get to it? Why are the dashes the wrong direction, man? Bruh. What am I doing wrong? All right. We are on track with this. We are currently committing. We're currently doing the first commit for the project. I was thinking to open the project in git bash, but I'm getting this error below. Why is that? What am I trying to do?
The extra line on the git attributes.
That's not the right one.
or committed means, and you'd like to learn that I have these files, I'm going to initialize a new repo. So I'd like to do that here. Git init. I can also run git status to see.
Git status, I think, is what I wanted to run. Why is that? I would like to run git status to see what is going on. Too many arguments occurs because your path consists spaces and bash. You what? You fucking what? No such file directory. Are you? Bash cd aura, no such file or directory. Did he misspell something? This means cd doom, блять, cd boom, bomb, nope, paste, aura, boom, bam. Let's go! We've located the repository. What does that mean? So now we can do git status on branch main. Nothing to commit, working tree clean. Awesome. Managed to enter my repository. After typing in git status, I'm getting the following. I hate this. Great to hear you're in the repository. The message you're seeing, nothing to commit, working tree clean, means that there are currently no changes in your project that need to be staged or committed. In other words, Git is telling you that everything in your project is already tracked and up to date with the latest commit. Oh shit. Alright, our first fetch is done. No new files detected. It seems like you haven't added any new files to the Git repository the Git is aware of. Why is there is nothing to commit? It is possible that most of your Unreal projects are being ignored. This typically includes files like binaries, intermediaries, files, which are automatically excluded from version control. If you want to track specific projects like source code configuration files, those, I'm pretty sure that's fine. Double check git ignore. Cool. Check if they're untracked files. Check if they're untracked files. Run this command to see if there are files Git hasn't tracked yet. Could do that. Not gonna hurt me. So git ls is look for files, I imagine. Others exclude standard. All right, let's ignore that for a second. There is not a valid Git repository at this URL. Your HTTP repository is not publicly accessible. Verify your credentials. Automatically. Not sure which one of these is better. I'd rather not respond. All right. I am now trying to set up large file storage with GitLab. When I insert my Git repository link there, it gives the following error message. So that means I probably have to connect my account. Suggest that Git is unable to find the GitHub repository you're connected to. This can happen. Looks like you're all here, but you're trying to... If the repository is private, GitLab cannot access it without the right credentials. If it is private, make sure you set up the SSH key or personal access tokens for GitLab to interact with GitHub. Alright, how do we do that? You can do this by going GitLab settings, repository deploy keys. Import project, your work, snippets, activity, operations. Where is it? Edit profile? No. GitLab settings. Where are GitLab settings? Security? Settings? Add or remove monitor in the security area. Projects include this list, blah blah blah. Is this necessary? Am I? Oh my. We got this, we got this, we got this, we got this. Hmm. Alright, so I need to get that there somehow. The repository must be accessible over HTTP or Git. What about this? If your HTTP is not publicly accessible, verify your credentials. Security settings. Profile? I don't even know. So we're trying to find a way on how to connect GitHub and GitLab. I'd maybe prefer YouTube video. Am I even doing the right thing? Why am I doing
I'll still show an
this?
example of how GitLab works though, and after that we'll also talk on pulling changes your teammates committed and what you need to be careful of with merge conflicts regardless of if you're using GitHub or GitLab. The sign-up process and many things about GitLab have changed since I started using it, but you can log in using your Google or GitHub account. It says 30 days trial here, but I believe you can still keep on using it after that, at least for basic features such as the kind of repositories we want to make. I've been using it for years for these kind of repositories and can still access all of them without any issues. Once you're logged in, make sure that you're on the project tab in your dashboard. Then click on New Project. Create blank project. Type in a project name. Make sure that the visibility level is set to private. It's also important that initialize repository with a README is checked, since it's allowed.
Yeah, what if we try to log out and log in with a different account? Sign out, GitHub. Sign in using GitHub auth. Failed. Interesting. This is annoying. I don't even have an email, do I? For my Git account. Do I not? How can that be possible? Alright, let's take a little bit of a break. And watch some Twitch or some shit. Go try YouTube guitar for a little bit. Let's do that. Let's do that. Oi. Do 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 do. You know, I'm gonna mute my mic for a little bit so you don't have to listen to that.
Okay, I got it. Bro, my shit. I talking. Yeah, my volume was off. It's alright. I don't know why this happens, but it happens all the time. It's either off 100% when I like connect it. Oh, going alright. Kind of boring. I'm dealing with some like trying to not like change tasks, but I'm trying to deal with like this change, this like and it's annoying because I've got some test failures that I've got to look at. They're just like they're scattered across like a bazillion different projects inside of like a larger C# project, or inside a solution, and it takes like over an hour to build the whole solution. You have to build the whole thing and never like update any of the code because it's not set up properly and it doesn't. You can't partial builds don't work properly. It's really frustrating. So I've got to build the whole thing and then I've got to find and open a singular thing. And then I've been waiting for that to happen. And then I was looking at this for a while and I've just realized I also now have to do a database upgrade, which also takes half an hour. Oh no, the database update failed. Do I have to then do another fucking? Do I have to recreate the whole fucking database? Ugh. And I have to do this just to run like one test locally, so, because the fucking like on the server, I can run on the server, and that takes ages as well. But like I've got results on the server, but I can't read them because they're basically because the and this is deliberate for some reason at the time. Basically, there's a massive security issue where like it'll render stuff as raw HTML. Not really. No, I appreciate that. But it's like, it's just like, it's poorly set up.
Hmm.
And people are trying to fix it. It's because it's 30 years old. People are fixing it. It just takes time, you know. But it's frustrating.
Hmm. Yeah, I can imagine, man. You're gonna have a lot of time waiting. That's probably the least fun part about it. Either gets given
No, it's not
something
like
to
the
make.
changes are hard to make. It's just yeah. I tried to do a database upgrade and it failed.
Gee.
Hey, what are you doing?
So I was setting up GitLab. I was trying to figure out how to connect my GitHub with GitLab so I can upload large files for like Unreal Engine projects. And I was just starting like a course on
Wait, which
the
one's GitLab?
GitLab is large file storage.
Oh, it's an LFS provider, is it?
I think so.
Okay. Oh wait. Oh, so you're connected to GitHub is where is your repository host.
Yeah.
GitLab, sorry, not GitHub.
No,
Right,
GitHub.
right.
GitHub. No, GitHub is my repository host. And from what I understand, GitLab is just a place where it will give me more space to do the thing. But at the same time, I
GitLab is a different repository host.
Like so
wait, GitLab as in GitLab is a different repository host. It's like a competitor.
Okay, so I don't need GitLab then.
No, you can use GitHub large file storage.
All right, and GitHub large file storage. I think it's already installed because I ran the test on my command prompt to see.
I had to look at GitHub large file storage a very small amount.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, to use it, you just have to configure. You have to set like some repository settings, like in your like local, like the actual file settings in your actual for like filters of what you want to put into LS.
In each Git repository where you want to use GitLFS, select the file types you'd like GitLFS to manage. Okay. All right. So, and I got a GitHub student account, so I should have a nice chunk of space I could occupy now, right?
I actually don't know I don't know like how much is provided for free. And I don't know what.
No. Well, once I hit the limit, I'm sure they'll tell me.
But if you got student, you should have a decent chunk. You also probably don't need a huge chunk for you.
True, yeah, because
doing, like Unreal shit, but it's like it's probably not going to be like 80 gigs, right?
I mean, no, probably not, because especially because we are like I've set up the git ignore, so it shouldn't really upload the assets and whatnot.
Yeah, you want some stuff to get uploaded because a lot of stuff counts as like assets. A lot like use Git LFS a lot often. Anything that's basically a binary. So there's also going to be a bunch of like, especially in like Unreal, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that counts as an asset for Git, but not for like like blueprints, for example. We discovered those are assets.
Fair enough. Where should we host you? It goes back together. Maybe
For some reason, decide to try restarting. Frustration with it. Working with so many, but like some of these, if you like run a test and it doesn't complete, it'll corrupt the whole thing. I don't know how or why these, because they're not in my team, they're in another team. How or why these people subsist on doing this? I guess like some of the tests actually do run against the data, behave that way, but I would really have thought that they would.
Is my internet cutting out, or are you cutting out, bro?
I'm probably cutting out.
A little
I'm
bit.
using a different headset at the moment that I don't normally use. I don't know why. I have it, I use it, but like I don't use it for calls because it does like not pick up right. The mic's a bit weird. My apologies for that.
For what? No, it's all good, bro. For what?
Just me being disorganized, really.
Bro, relax. I feel you, man.
What am I fucking looking for?
Easier to set up a repository that isn't empty. Click on Create Project. On the project page, we can then click on Clone and copy the
Is that
HTTPS
like
link by clicking this button.
2.2 times or like 5 times?
And the
Sounds
speed?
too fast.
Then open up GitHub
Yeah,
Desktop and click on File and
1.75,
Clone
yeah.
Repository.
Ah,
Here, go to the URL tab and paste the link. Click on Clone. This will now download the project, which only contains a README file to your computer. Now open up the folder where your Unreal Engine project is located and select everything except for the .git folder. You can then either copy these files or cut them out. Open a folder for a GitLab repository and paste these files in. When we open up GitHub Desktop now, on the GitLab project, we should see all the files we added, including the Git attributes and Git ignore.
modernization.
Remember, these files will specify what we want to ignore and what we want to upload to Git LFS.
Boot
So all of these settings will
camp.
carry over to GitLab by just copying these two files. Type in a commit message and commit to main. Then click on Push to Origin. This could take quite a while depending on how big your project is and how good your internet connection is. Once this is done, if you go back to your GitLab page and refresh it, you should be able to see all the changes on here. Every time before you work on a project again or before you commit any changes, you should always check if any of your team members made changes. To check this,
Again,
click
I'm
on
just
Fetch
trying to
Origin.
find the instructions.
This will then show you the amount of changes that are committed to the cloud but are not on your machine.
database.
Before you click on Pull Origin, it's very important that you close down Unreal Engine or things will start
I
bugging
haven't
out.
had to do it.
You can
Actually, I think
also
I
add
did
this
do it the
changes on
other
your slate
week,
when
but I
pulling.
just don't
However,
do it
only if the files
much,
you're working
so-
on have not been altered in the new commits. When you open up your project again, all the changes you pulled should
New
be applied
status.
and you can keep working. By the way, you can of course also commit C++ code with the setup we have, and they will be correctly uploaded to the regular
This
GitHub or
the
GitLab
one?
and not to the Git LFS cloud storage. One more thing I need to talk about are mergers and merge conflicts. When working with C++ code, unless two people change the
I'm
same
not
part of the
entirely
code,
sure
you will
what
be able to merge the
he
code
is
and keep the
doing.
changes which both members made. Upload all your binary files as is to changes your teammates committed and what you can log in using your Google or GitHub account. It says 30 days trial here, but I believe you can still keep on using it after that, at least for basic features such as the kind of repositories we want to make. I've been using it for years for these kind of repositories and can still access all of them without any issues. Once you're logged in, make sure that you're on the project tab in your dashboard. Then click on New Project.
Core skills training. Here we go.
Create blank project.
Huh.
Type in a project name.
That got moved to GitHub. Interesting.
Make sure that the visibility level is set to private.
Alright, I'm just gonna go chat with Mr. GPT about it, I guess.
Boot camp. Here we go. This is what I want. This is not what I want. Where did it go? MDM bootcamp. That's what I want. That's what I want. Install. Great Odyssey database. There we go. That's what I want. Change data, whatever that means. Okay.
Free features and pricing.
Open this folder. Bin. Open terminal. Can I just run this, or is it also going to throw an error?
Okay, I think I'm gonna just
It's also important that initialize repository with a README is checked.
not move anything to GitLab and stay on GitHub and just kind of work on the project as is and just focus on that for now. 'Cause I've been I spent a solid, I think, an hour and a half at this point doing the preparation for the learning and not the learning. I mean, I guess it is still learning, right? I'm figuring out the
Oh, for the
infrastructure.
LFS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need the LFS yet. You
See
can
that I
deal
have
with that later.
these files, which
Mhm.
have not been staged or committed. Now, if you don't know what staged or committed means, and you'd like to learn more about how it'll take a while because I have my content folder here. And if I now run git status, I see all those files that are not get ignored, and there's quite a lot of them. And finally, I can make my first commit, and this will say initial project files. And if I run git log, I see that there's my first commit. Git status shows me there's
Ooh.
nothing to commit.
Git log. Let's check git log. Do we have initial commit? Yeah, so we have one commit done.
So,
Good.
wait, what is your current objective with LFS?
LFS. Objective with LFS. What you mean?
Yeah, so what are you trying to put onto, like, what are you trying to set up at the moment that you're learning to do?
Oh, so right now I'm just kind of creating a repository for my Unreal Engine project. And that's about it. And it's just LFS is supposed to be able to kind of work with larger files better. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so I guess the basic version of it is, you know how Git works by like diffing files and all that stuff, and
Mm-mm.
having patches and stuff? Yeah, so like there's gonna be larger files and like binaries and stuff where you don't, where the patch, like the diffing doesn't make sense. You want to turn that off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's two aspects of that. First of all, you want to turn off the patching. Second of all, rather than storing the large files in like the same like server as your normal text files, which is not optimized for that, you just store it somewhere else, and it gets uploaded differently, and it's optimized for large. Those servers are optimized for large files. It doesn't affect. It kind of improves the speed of like downloading your main repository.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to actually like wait to get those large files in order to download your text files and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So,
It
but
kind of basically takes your large files and removes them from your repository and hosts them on a server, then links them back, I guess. Like, I don't know if
okay.
that's exactly how it works, but yeah, it's like, I'm pretty sure it close to like extracts files from your repository and hosts them instead.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm just not entirely sure which files I'm supposed to then. I have to like basically mark the file or the file type for LFS to tell it like, hey, these are the files I want you to upload elsewhere, right?
Yes. So, and I'm realizing I've got a link open on the computer, but basically there's a git LFS command system, and you
Mm-hmm.
can tell it to track files based on like a glob pattern. So like a star dot whatever,
Mm-mm.
like specify a file extension. So like
Yeah.
I think the example I've got here is star.psd. Literally the command is git space LFS space track, and then like in like string quotes, asterisk dot psd to make sure that psd files are tracked by git LFS
Okay.
instead of by your repository.
Fair enough. I think I got it. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean that's me not really having to use it much at all, but
Yeah, and me having like extremely basic understanding of like code and whatnot. But we're getting there. Thank you for your assistance and guidance, bro. I appreciate it. We'll get there. We'll get there. I got this. I got this. We got this. I'm just gonna go take a quick shower. I think it's too hot. I'm boiling.
yeah, I gotta do a meeting soon actually.
Okay.
I won't be around long anyway.
Sounds good. All right, I'll be back in like 10, 15.
Alright, bye.
See you in a bit.
Yeah.
god, it's so hot. Holy shit. Anyone there? No. Okay. We will be checking in regards to LSF later. I think as of right now, we can just get started on learning. Okay. I appreciate it. Appreciate the company. Wait. Oh, I feel so much better now. I feel fresh. All right.
All the changes are up to date. Now, what I next need to do is push this up to my remote. We see that GitHub tells us to use this line, making sure that our main branch is called main. Mine's already called main, so I don't need to rename it. But what I can do is I can add the remote. It's giving me the URL for it here. That our main branch is called main. Mine's already called main, so I don't need to rename it. But what I can do,
Git push u main. So I feel like, do I need to do this? Because I've already pushed it here, right? Is this my origin? The other way of doing this is to create. Yeah, no, just clone that. I'm not entirely sure that I'm just trying to understand why I'm doing it. And what exactly is he doing? Create a new repository on the command line. Main. Git remote add origin. Why does one would want? So basically the tutorial looking at creates a new local repo and uploads it. Okay, but I have already created I created a repo using Git desktop basically. You can instead download it. So this is my thing here. I've already fetched it. Fetch origin 50 minutes ago. So this is my origin now. Config content platforms HoloLens. Not sure what platform HoloLens config is and where it came from. Oh, it's part of platforms. So Aura config content. So I'm guessing because intermediate was ignored. Git clone will typically set you up with the remote origin for free. Origin in quotes. Git command for that, you have if you have a repo inside, you can download it. The git command for that is called git clone. The command git remote net origin and the concept of cloning a repository are essential parts of working with Git repositories. The origin remote is typically used to refer to the main version of the repository hosted on platform. So this is my origin. This is the one thing I hosted. to push your local commits to a remote repository like GitHub. So this is my local project. This is my origin. So whenever changes happen to my local project, it gets pushed to my origin. To push your local commits to a remote, to pull changes. Okay. So this is our origin, so it's already set. Cloning means creating a copy of a remote repository on your local machine. When you clone a repository, you're pulling down the entire code base. You have to initiate such a push yourself. So to initiate the push, this is this is the fetch button, right? Or I mean, the push will be like to upload the changes or commits. Yeah, right. So changes. So for example, we make some changes. We do boop-de-boop, added something, and then we upload it to the origin. Cloning means you creating a copy of a remote repository on your local machine. But if I already uploaded my local files to the online repository, that means I don't need the clone because it's on my machine already, right? But if I would want to work on my computer, for example, basically the fundamental nature of Git is a graph of history which you create as commits, and push-pull is just syncing to your remote local. Okay. So meanwhile, I think I'm good, right? I don't need to clone it because I have it on my computer. But I don't like, this is my repository, right? Basically, I've set this up as my repository. It may mean that, but I don't know yet if you've got it connected in that way, but we can find out. I don't want you to take your time, you know. I appreciate it, but yeah, you know, if you're busy, all that. The way that it got set up, main 1 hour ago, branches, pull requests. It's set up no pull request XPYM 1337 Aura, which is here. XPYM 1337 Aura. Oh, it's the same thing. Create a new branch. This is main. Open a console and type git remote -v. Okay, so it shows me an origin, fetch, push. Oh yeah, fair enough, no worries. Oh yeah, awesome, thank you, bro. Okay, so that means
is I can add the remote. It's giving me V, shows me the origin and its
yeah,
URL.
there you go.
And finally, I can use git push -u to push upstream. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. And this is quite a big push. I have data packs with GitHub. By default, you can't really push that much data on the free plan. I do have data packs that allow me to push more data than the default. So I'm going to give this some time to push to my remote repository.
I think I've done that already.
Okay, so now that I'm finished pushing to my online repository, I'm going to pull it back up here on GitHub. I'm going to refresh it, and now I can see that I have my U project here. I have my content folder. I don't have a source folder yet, right? This is just a blueprint project, but now I can make changes locally and push them up here to my GitHub
Okey-dokey.
repo, and everything will be fine. Now, you might be wondering why I haven't set up Git LFS. I typically don't use Git LFS. It might sound strange, but you can actually version control an Unreal Engine project without using Git LFS. It's true, and that's how I'm going to be doing it, but this course is not about version control. It's about the gameplay ability system, which we can now start getting into. Now that our project is set up, I've got version control. You don't have to have version control for yours, but if you followed along, now you have version control.
Woo!
And you can make commits so that you'll be saved if your project gets into a state where it is no longer working. And we'll be in the habit of making Git commits at the end of each lecture. So now that we're ready to start making some classes and coding some gameplay mechanics, we'll get started with that in the next video. I'll see you.
Let's go.
All right, welcome back. Now we have our project. We're set up.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. Fuck. That's fine. Friday. Do I have any plans for Friday? I don't think so. All right, let's go.
And we're ready to start making some C++ classes. And we're going to start with our character. We need a character. We need something to run around in the world. And we know that we have our character assets. If we go to characters aura, here's our skeletal mesh. We need an actual character class that we can assign this skeletal mesh to. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Now, we're going to have some functionality in our character class that will be shared between our player-controlled character, that's going to be aura, and the enemy characters that will be controlled with AI. And because we're going to share some functionality, we're going to make a base class for our character. So that's what I'd like to do now. I'm going to go up to Tools and select New C++ class and choose the character class. And for our C++ classes, I'd like to use the public and private folder structure. So I'm going to click on public, and that's going to put our header file in public and the CPP file in private. And I'm going to call this class aura character base. And this will be our base class. And we'll have all of our characters in this project derived from this class. So let's go ahead and create the class. Now, I have live coding off, and my project is set up so that it doesn't automatically compile when I create a class. So it's going to generate the C++ code, so I'll give it a moment. And once that's finished, I'm going to go ahead and close out of the Unreal Engine editor. Now, a .sln has been generated for me, but I'm going to open this project in Writer. Now, if you don't have Writer, you can use Visual Studio or even VS Code if you'd like to do that. But as I mentioned, I'll be using Writer for this course, and I can right-click on the .u project and select Open with Writer. Now, I'm going to tell Writer that I trust this solution, so I'm going to click Trust and Open, and we'll see our brand new
Hey, it's starting to rain. All right, so Aura has been created. Aura Code Workspace. Base CPP and base H. Reveal in File Explorer. So Aura, public, that's where that's located, okay. Aura base CP not found. How is it possible that I just created a file, you know, it's already giving me errors?
staged yet, but as I mentioned, I'll be using Writer for this course, and I can right-click on the .u project and select Open with Writer. Now I'm going to tell Writer that I trust this solution, so I'm going to click Trust and Open, and we'll see our brand new Aura character base header and CPP files. Of course, they'll be red because I'm version controlling this. Writer's smart enough to see that, and it's letting me know that these files are not staged yet, so that's going to help me to remember. Now, we also see Writer link is required, so I'm going to go ahead and click Install Plugin in Game just to take care of that, and we'll give this some time. We see now that Writer is ready to use, and we'll give Writer a moment to process Unreal Engine source files. Okay, so after waiting patiently, now that Writer is finished, we can now take a look at our new character base class. And I'm going to tell Writer not to ask me again to add new files to Git. I think I can handle doing that on my own. And here's our project. The Aura module contains a source folder with some new things here. We have aura.h and .cpp. We got our build.cs, all that good standard stuff. Here's our public and private folders with aura character, base.h and .cpp. And of course, once I stage and commit these in Git, they'll no longer be read. If you're not version controlling, then Writer will not make these read for you, and you don't have to worry about it. So before we go ahead and get started rearranging and coding things, I'm just going to go ahead and open up the Visual Studio solution as well, just so we can see what things look like in that IDE. It's telling me I need to install some extra things. Let's take a look and install those things we might need that we don't have. And once that's complete, we can now take a look at our project here in Visual Studio, and we can see Aura character base here, both .h and .cpp. So it doesn't really matter what IDE you're using. What matters is the code itself. Now, throughout the course, we're going to be running in debug mode. And to run in debug mode, we need the editor symbols for debugging, which is a set of symbols that allows us to see the call stack when we're debugging and when we hit breakpoints and things like that. We'll be getting lots of practice doing debugging throughout the course, as that will greatly enhance our experience as developers. And we'll go ahead and run in debug mode just to make sure that we're up and running and everything's working in this video. So the first thing we need to do in order to run in debug mode is we can open our Epic Games Launcher, go to Library, and find our version of Unreal Engine. Click the drop-down next to Launch, and go to Options. And here we see Editor Symbols for Debugging. Now, if you've taken some of my other courses, I haven't forced you to do this, namely because, well, it's nearly 60 gigabytes in this case, which is a lot. But for this course, I highly recommend that you do install Editor Symbols for Debugging, as debugging is an important skill that you should have as a game developer. And as you'll see throughout the course, it's going to allow us 60 gigabyte and find our version of Unreal Engine. Click the drop-down next to Launch, and go to Options. And here we see Editor Symbols for Debugging. Now, if you've taken some of my other courses, I haven't forced you to do this.
All right, let's get that downloaded. I think I might be taking a little break after this. Oh, I got a vocal class in about an hour. But yeah, we'll be just downloading this, and my upload speed is probably gonna plummet. And I'm gonna be, we'll just focus on downloading this first. We'll go from there. Hello, Mr. Epic Games. Are you AFK or what? Mr. Epic Games does not want to collaborate. What's wrong with you, buddy? What? All right, we're in. Wait, where'd he go? 30 gigabytes. All right, that's fine. All right, so we will be downloading that stuff. Our stream has reached 2 hours, so we did put in some work today. I might be back at around 7 after my lesson. I probably will be, because I'm feeling pretty pumped about it. But for now, I think I'm gonna go do some meditation. Anyway, and then we'll be back. There's a bunch of downloads we have to do. So yeah, thank you guys. I'll be back probably later tonight to